I got early access to Sandrone, and I'm going to show you what she's all about. Now, Sandrone is a long-awaited character in Genshin Impact, and I think a lot of fans of the character will be very pleased with what she can do. First of all, her idle animations are adorable. She's got this one where she's sending a letter to Arlecchino, and then a second letter to, I can't really tell to be honest, but the third letter's to Columbina, and she does not want to send that letter. And then the other one, she's basically doing some like Jarvis lock-in thing with Fagio. Now, she's very much an attack scaling character, as you'll see when we go through her talents in a second. But first things first, can we appreciate how beautiful this goddamn weapon is, dude? Starting to think this might be Elaine's final gift. Looks very much like the key that she uses in the back, but with a yellow gem instead of the blue one. It is a crit damage stat stick weapon. The passive is attack is increased by 28%. Additionally, each time the equipping character hits an opponent with their charged attack, they attain Transcendence for a short time. Their stellar conduct damage is increased by 16% for 5 seconds, and it can stack every 0.2 seconds 3 times. It's actually really good. Artifacts, I've just put her on the disenchantment in Deep Shadow to go through this showcase. Again, superconduct and stellar conduct damage increase, as well as the attack stat. And I'm going to show you the talents at 919, because honestly, the skill you kind of don't really need to level up, I feel like. At least not as much as the other two. But I am going to show you C0 all the way through to C6. So first things first, we level up Sandrone to level 90, we level up her weapon, and we get the talents in order. Now, while I show you what she can do with some very weird teams, pay no mind to what you see on the screen right now. Let me walk you through exactly what she does do. So she has a 3-sequence normal attack, which is elegant and also kind of terrifying. It reminds me of Focalor's Execution. And her charge attack summons Fagio, and it switches to decoding mode. This unleashes a sweeping fire attack on enemies in front, as well as periodically firing condensed beams, dealing AoE cryo damage. Now, when you're under the effects of Radiant Stellar Conduct, the condensed beams do instead deal AoE cryo damage that's considered stellar conduct damage. Now, you will notice that while in decoding mode, or the charge attack, Fagio's decoding power will continuously increase. Firing the condensed beams will also further increase its decoding power. When Fagio's decoding power reaches the max of 100 points, it switches to power overdrive mode, in which it fires opponents with longer intervals, dealing cryo damage. Basically, you remember Hydro Traveler, where it's kind of pew 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 pew? It's basically that. Now, it is unable to switch to decoding mode at that time, and when it's not in decoding mode, Fagio's decoding power gradually decreases. Now, when Sandrone is off-field, she will focus on maintaining Fagio, causing its decoding power to decrease at 300% the original rate. When decoding power is decreased to underneath 50, you can then activate Power Overdrive again. Now, the skill's kind of interesting. So when you use her skill with her impeccable ladylike poise, Sandrone boards the Tea Party Tactical Assault Hover Mech. You heard that right. She hovers forward for 6 seconds, and during that time, she can control the travel direction of the aircraft. Pressing sprint consumes 10 stamina and launches her into an elegant high-speed hover mode, in which she will move even faster at the cost of 15 stamina per second. However, when she starts hovering, if there are enemies nearby, she'll also summon a prismatic resonance cannon and fire 2 prism shots at any opponents who have yet to cool down. Now, the best thing about this skill, in my humble opinion, is when you're aboard the Tea Party Tactical Assault Hover Mech, Sandrone will also elegantly and quietly repair Fagio, and this causes decoding power to swiftly decrease, and trust me, it is pretty damn quick. And now let's talk about one of the cooler parts of her kit yet again, her ultimate. In line with established ladylike behavior, Sandrone summons a large number of prismatic resonance cannons for a frontal bombardment before firing on her foes with a convective inhibition ray. Yeah, she's insane, dude. This deals AoE cryo damage, and under the effects again of Radiant Stellar Conduct, the convective inhibition ray instead deals AoE cryo damage that is considered stellar conduct damage. This has some pretty insane scaling, and it's a 60 energy cost ult with a cooldown of 15 seconds. Now let's talk about her Ascension talents. So under the effects of Radiant Stellar Conduct, when you use her elemental skill, if Fagio's decoding power is more than 50, the second prism shot fired by Fagio at nearby opponents deals 400% of its original damage as Fagio's decoding power is decreased. Additionally, for every 10 points of decoding power Fagio loses, it gains 1 stack of Refined Tactics for 60 seconds, for a max of 10 stacks. When Sandrone uses her elemental burst while in the Radiant Stellar Conduct state, all stacks of Refined Tactics are cleared, causing the convective inhibition ray to deal 100% plus however many stacks are cleared, times 10% of its original damage. She's a mathematician, bro. I'm not. You might be able to work this out better than I can. And now let's talk about the next Ascension talent. This one increases Sandrone's elemental mastery based on her attack, so every 100 attack will increase her EM by 8. The maximum she can increase this way is 160, but that's basically a 360 EM, bro. It's kind of cool. And then her passive talent. When your party members trigger Super Conduct, it'll be changed to Stellar Conduct, and your party members' base Stellar Conduct damage will be increased based on Sandrone's attack. Again, every every 100 attack that she has increases the base stellar conduct damage by 0.7%, and the maximum increase that can be gained this way is 14%. Now, of course, when Sandrone is within a Polestar field, she will enter the Radiance stellar conduct state as well. And as we saw from the live stream, her final passive talent is when she's in the party, you gain an additional snack reward after turning in your daily commissions with Catherine. Perks of the job, I guess. Now, let me show you something. So for this, we're going to do the level 100 basic Stygian just so you can see some stuff without it going too overboard. You're going to be able to see Sandrone and what she can basically do all the way from C0 to C6 while I'm explaining each constellation as we go. So C0 is basically what you just saw. It's pretty simple and she does do a lot of damage. She's pretty fun to play, I'm not going to lie, more fun than I expected. Now for C1, when in decoding mode, Fagio's decoding power increases at a 50% lower rate and all party members deal 30% increased stellar conduct damage. Honestly, really solid C1. The slower rate of increase for Fagio's decoding power does make the overall rotation feel quite a bit better because you're not having to switch off and use your elemental skill too much. It's basically just more constant. And obviously, all party members' 30% increased stellar conduct damage is going to be huge no matter what. For the C2, when under the effects of Radiant Stellar Conduct, increased crit damage from charge attacks condensed beams by 40%. But that's not all. Each time a beam is fired, crit damage dealt by all condensed beams fired during that decoding mode will be further increased by 20%, and that has 3 max stacks. So basically, it can go up to 100%. As you can see by the completion time, it doesn't seem like that's a huge increase, but I'm also a terrible player. This is by no means a guide, it's more of an informative thing. Definitely just base these based on the text and not how I'm playing the damn character, please, for your own sake. Now for constellation number 4, when Sandrone deals stellar conduct damage to an opponent, she will also summon an extra prismatic resonance cannon to fire off a coordinated attack, which deals cryo damage at 125% of her attack. This damage is considered stellar conduct damage, and the effect can occur once every 4 seconds. This one was kind of cool. I didn't notice a huge difference based off of this one, to be honest, but C6, and this is going to take me a while to get through, so bear with me. When Fagio fires a condensed beam for the 3rd time while in decoding mode, so that's pew pew pew, because I can count apparently, the beam becomes a more powerful condensed cluster beam that fires continuously. Think Nuvalet's Hydro Cannon. This beam will deal up to 4 additional instances of AoE cryo damage at 100% of Sandrone's attack on top of any subsequent original beam fired. Now, when under the effects of Radiant Stellar Conduct, the condensed cluster beam will instead deal 4 additional instances of AoE cryo damage at 80% of Sandrone's attack, but it is considered stellar conduct damage. And additionally to all of that, all stellar conduct damage dealt by Sandrone is elevated by 20%. Now, because this is elevation, obviously it's calculated independently of other damage boost effects, but it's still kind of crazy, and her C6 is busted. As it should be, most C6s are. And you might have noticed throughout this video, I've actually been playing her with the other characters that received buffs too. Let me quickly go through what each of these characters gained, just so you know going into this patch who you might want to pull for. As you probably noticed with Yaimiko, the duration of her skills are increased by 10 seconds, and when a nearby party member triggers superconduct or stellar conduct reactions, the next instance of her skill damage is enhanced. The damage dealt increased to 80% of Yaimiko's attack, and it can trigger once every 2.5 seconds. However, when you're under the effects of Radiance, Stellar Conduct, an enhanced skill lightning bolt hit on an opponent will also cause an additional instance of electro damage at 200% of Yai's attack. That is also considered Stellar Conduct damage. And to enter the Radiant Stellar Conduct state, you just got to enter a Polestar field. Naturally, you will be doing that when playing, especially with Sandrone. Can't believe I'm saying this one, but Chi-Chi actually became quite a bit better. Her new additional talent, the cooldown of her elemental skill, is reduced to 15 seconds, and when under the effects of Radiant Stellar Conduct, while the Herald of Frost is on the field, which is her skill, characters in Chi-Chi's party have their Superconduct Stellar Conduct reaction damage increased by 50%. Oh, I can't believe we might have Chi-Chi meta in the big old 2026, dude. Keeping on par with cryo characters, let's talk about Wriothesley, because this one is the longest of all of the new additional talents. I'm gonna go through all of this so there's no ambiguity. When under the effects of Radiant Stellar Conduct, so when you're inside the Polestar field, the Ascension talent There Shall Be a Plea for Justice is changed to the following. When Wriothesley's HP is less than 60%, he will obtain a Gracious Rebuke Unveiling. This enhances the next charge attack of his normal attack, Forceful Fist of Frost, into Luster Vaulting Fist, which will not consume stamina and restores 30 HP to Wriothesley upon hit. Wriothesley can gain HP in this way once every 2 seconds. Additionally, the 3rd and 5th strikes of Repelling Fists are enhanced by Chilling Penalty, will deal 60 and 80% of their original cryo damage respectively, while Luster Vaulting Fist will deal 100% of its original AoE cryo damage. The aforementioned damage is considered as Stellar Conduct damage, and Wriothesley deals 30% increased Stellar Conduct damage. I feel like all of these characters are getting a new breath of life breathed into their kits, to be honest. But let me be greedy here for a second, move on to one of my favorite characters, Sino. I currently have him at C2, but his new additional talent is actually really interesting. If Sino unleashes his elemental skill, Sacred Rite Cosmic Soulfarer, while not in the Pax 1 Path Clearer state, he will enter that state for 6 seconds. Now, this guy obviously can do Stellar Conduct the same way as the other characters, but let me just make this very clear. That means you get 6 seconds of ultimate even when you're not using your ultimate with Sino. It's pretty damn cool. I do feel like some of the other characters' additional talents might actually be a little bit better, but this one's just cool. Now, next up we have Yume Mizuki. Her new additional talent is whenever she triggers a swirl reaction while in the Dream Drifter state, the next instance of periodic AoE animo damage she deals to nearby enemies during that state will be increased by 1000% of her elemental mastery. The aforementioned effect can trigger once every 2.5 seconds, and additionally, while Yume Mizuki is in the Dream Drifter state, the elemental mastery of nearby party characters is increased by 10% of Mizuki's elemental mastery. Now, obviously she can't do stellar damage because I don't think there is a stellar swirl, at least not yet. So maybe in the future, but not right now. Now, you might think I'm crazy for saying this, but the next two are 4-star characters and they have some of the more interesting new talents in my opinion. So for Diona, within 20 seconds after using the elemental skill Icy Pores, Diona will also fire off 3 more Icy Pores when party members trigger Superconduct Stellar Conduct reactions. Icy Pores fired this way can't generate elemental particles, nor will they generate a shield upon hitting opponents, but it can occur once every 3.5 seconds, and of course she can do Stellar Conduct damage. Pretty interesting. It's going to make her do a little bit more DPS, maybe more constant reactions, which is kind of cool. And a very fun one for Beidou here. When holding down on the elemental skill Tidecaller, 1 stack of power will accumulate every 0.8 seconds, even when not under attack. This increases the damage dealt at the point of unleashing, and additionally, holding down to unleash Tidecaller and hitting the opponent also gives extra boosts based on the power accumulated. So every stack active decreases Beidou's elemental skill cooldown by 4 seconds, as well as regenerates 8 elemental energy for her. It can be triggered once every 15 seconds, so if you switch to her, you can basically get 2 free skills in before switching and doing another rotation. And of course, she can do Stellar Conduct damage. Now that's all for the new characters. I didn't cover every single nitty-gritty detail, but for a player like me who's pretty casual, especially when it comes to the combat stuff, I covered what I feel like is the bare essentials of the kits. There are multiple other CCs out there that are going to go through specific guides for these characters that are clearly crafted around making them the best that they can possibly be, and I highly recommend going to watch those. But this is a really quick early look at these characters and the changes, especially for Sandrone. Let me know down in the comments what you think about that as well. Let me know if you're going to be pulling, and I'll catch you in the next video, gamers.